Hey Bruce, where'd you grow up, bro? Where are you from originally?
So I'm from here, Midland, Odessa. I was born in Odessa. My mom and my grandma lived here in Midland off of Pleasant Street, over on the west side. Uh, and I was raised by my mom and my grandma. My mom, I'd come to find out recently, I met my father this year. Actually, I
Oh
met my
wow.
biological father. I found him in the last couple years, so it's been a big deal. But my mom always told me she didn't know who my dad was, and come to find out she knew who he was. She didn't want him to take me from her.
Hmm.
So she, to control that, she just never really let him know. Like their stuff went south. He moved, she was pregnant, had me, kind of reached out but didn't really try. And so yeah. But uh I was raised by my mom and my grandma over on the west side. Um it Everything was normal really until probably I got about 11 or 12. And my mom, I walked out into the little room. We had this little room behind my grandma's house. And I walked back there and I smelled something. My mom smoked cigarettes, and that's where she could smoke because my grandma was allergic to cigarette smoke.
Yeah.
She just didn't want nobody smoking in the house. But so my mom would smoke out there, and I went out there one day and it smelled funny. It didn't smell. I know what it was now, but back then I had no idea what it was. And after that time that I caught her, she had gotten done doing whatever she was doing, and she walked out, and a couple days later I went to go steal some cigarettes out of her cigarette case, and when I went to steal those cigarettes, the whole cigarette pack it pulled out, and in the bottom in the cellophane there was two roaches. And I didn't I kind of thought I knew what it was, but I had never seen it. So I called my older homeboy that lived a few blocks down, and I was like, "Hey man, I found this. It smells funny." And
How old were you when you found that?
I was 12, 11, 12, 11, 12. So when I called my homeboy, he came over and he's like, "Oh yeah," he's like, "Man," he's like, "We're gonna smoke it." And I'm like, "Are you sure?" And he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna do this." So we did, and a few days later, my mom came asking questions like, "Hey, have you seen this? Have you been in my cigarette case?" Blah blah blah, and I denied, and it wasn't long after that, my homeboy, man, my homeboy R.I.P. Stephen Mancha, and man, he would come over and kick it, and he had older brothers, and they would come and drop him off over at the house, and they'd be smoking, and my mom smelled it on him one day. She was like, "Man, Steven," she's like, "I know you know where to get this," and she's like, "I got to find a place to get it." And he's like, "Well, I'll get it for you if you let Bruce get high with me." And so that was kind of like the start of,
That was the beginning.
yeah,
That was the
yeah,
beginning.
yeah,
So, you mentioned that you met your dad just recently.
yeah.
So, take me back a little bit. How was that as a youth, as a kid, right? Growing up, did you have a stepdad in between, or
Man,
was it just you and your mom?
so for the first, I mean, until I was like 13, my mom never got into a relationship. Like we lived at my grandma's. My mom took care of my granny. She took care of everything around the house, and she worked and took care of old ladies. She was on disability, so she did everything like cleaning and all that stuff under the table. And then one of her friends got out of prison. Is kind of what led her to everything. So it was hard because a lot of friends had their dads. A lot of people at school. I dealt with some stuff when I was like in first or second grade, walking home from school. There were some bullies that would stand on the. I just lived right behind the school, but they would stand there and they would harass me all the way to my house. And one day, my mom and my sister went over there and scared my sister scared the dog shit out. My sister crazy. I love her to death, Paula. Uh, but it, not having a dad, man, it really just it. I didn't know who I was. Like I knew that there was something out there that I was missing, and my mom wouldn't really give me any answers. She would tell me she didn't know, and then I mean, how does that make me feel about my mom? Like my mom doesn't know who my dad is. Like
At what age did you start asking her?
I asked when I was young, like 7, 8. She was really sick most of my life, so there was a lot of times that she couldn't go and do with me or go play or take me places, and always would have to say like I'm sick or I don't feel good,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So I would ask and kind of just dig a little bit, but I never really got anywhere. And it wasn't until probably, so she passed away when I was 18. It wasn't long before she passed away that she gave me a name, and she was like, "You look like such and such,"
Oh wow.
and that name kind of stuck with me. And that in the last few years, I kind of ran into like just a.
So whenever you would ask her, when you were younger,
Mhm.
how how would you feel? How did you feel? Did you feel like, were you like upset? Were you like, how did you feel about your dad not being around at such an early age?
I didn't know what it was like to have one. I didn't have a man in my
Like,
life
you
really.
never, like, you never asked any questions like, well, where's dad, or why did he, you know what I mean?
Well, so and
Or you were just so used to just.
yeah, like the conversation was, I don't know who your dad is. Like I'm not sure
Hmm.
who he is, and that was really, I mean, the basis of what I got from her. And now in adulthood, like I've dealt with some very similar situations with sons with my children's mothers.
Yes.
Like it really like it rubs me the wrong way, the way that my mom handled things, because of the way that, I mean, just the way that women weaponize all of that as
And
a whole.
and as far as your siblings, you said you had an older sister, right?
Yeah, so I got a
So
sister.
how did she take it?
So so my
Since she
sister,
was since she was older, right?
so she had a dad.
Oh,
She
okay.
she knew who her dad was. He wasn't ever really in the picture. But she knew a physical person and had seen and all of that. Like for me, it was, and that was hard for me too, because I knew my sister. Like they would have a conversation about my sister's dad. And so my sister's 16 years older, 15 and a half, almost 16 years older than me.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so when you were like 7, bro, she was already in her
Yeah,
20s.
she was,
Oh,
so
okay. Yeah.
I
There's
had
a
my
big
first
age gap.
she had my first nephew when I was 5.
Oh wow.
So like my nephew is 5 years younger than me. My niece is 10 years younger than me, and she's the biological mother of my adopted daughter. So
Oh wow.
my sister's oldest daughter.
So when you would hear them conversate about her dad, would you ask any questions like,
Not
why does she
really.
have a dad? And
Not really.
no,
I didn't. When I was a kid, I was, my mom was all I had, and I was really,
attached, really, really
yeah, I was
attached to her.
really
That's
attached to
how
my
you
mom.
knew.
Like, and she would tell me, she'd be like, "Well, I don't want anybody to take you from me," or,
Yeah.
and that's my mom. I'm
Yeah.
terrified of
Very.
somebody trying to take me from her. So I feel like as a kid, that kind of kept me down, was like the fear,
Yeah.
which it's not right for a mother to instill that fear into a child of somebody taking them from them
Yeah.
over
But
a
that built
father.
that
But
that that built your relationship with your mom,
it did,
so
it
that's
did.
pretty cool. So tell me about school. How were you in school growing up?
So I mean, going to school from kindergarten to 6th grade, I was a straight A student. Like in 1st grade, they wanted to skip me a grade, and they put me in like Project Think and a few like special groups. But my mom, I'm a November baby. I'm a Scorpio, so it when you fall in that age group and that birthday for school, you're kind of behind on everything.
Yeah,
So
you start school late, right?
yeah, so my mom felt that I was a little immature to be moved up a full grade, because I wasn't on the same like
Yeah.
emotional scale with my peers. Um, but yeah, I did great all the way up to 6th grade, and then I mean I found girls,
About
and
seventh
it's,
grade, eighth
I
grade.
started going to the skating rink every Friday
Mm.
night, and there's a lot of people that would say I had a different girlfriend like every weekend, and yeah, so that it became all about girls. I stopped paying attention to school, and then 7th grade is really when I started getting out there and meeting people and hanging out, and
Okay, so
yeah.
so tell me about your teenage years, since we're about to get there.
Man, hold on, I gotta take a drink. Oh man, teenagers were crazy, bro. Teenagers were crazy. Uh, I mean, my mom really, the doors kind of got open for me smoking when I was about 12. So growing up, I had my boys that live across the street, uh, 3 brothers,
Hmm.
and their mom, and she was like a mom to me as well. And man, we would get into some hell, man. We there were times that their mom, she would go to work, and she would lock the windows and have the doors, have a double bolt on the doors, because she worked at night. She did nursing stuff, and all that stuff. And I would go over to the house with a drill and take the screws out the windows and let them out at night so we could kick it and freestyle and smoke and
Yeah.
just run the streets and act a fool. And I mean, we had people coming from all sides of the West Side, like running around. Somebody come over and be like, "Hey, the cops are chasing us. We're ducking out." And then the cops would pass by, and then they run out and call the cops and start running. Other man, we lived in the neighborhood with a bunch of idiots.
Oh man, and
Man,
you're about what age at this time?
and then about 11 or 12.
About 11 or 12.
12. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Like right there at the seventh grade, like we were running the streets and acting a fool. But once I hit the seventh grade, like
that's when it really started.
yeah.
So, when was your first run-in with the law?
So my first run in the law, me specifically, like we got caught drinking at parties and stuff, but I had a lot of like minor in possession of tobacco, minor in possession out past curfew, stuff
Mhm.
like that. But eventually, when I got put on juvenile probation,
What led up? What led to juvenile probation, bro? If you don't mind me asking.
so I was growing some. We were smoking and partying and hanging out. My mom would smoke with us. My mom would buy us weed, all that stuff. Um, and we would we had gotten a bunch of seeds. I mean, back when everything was seedy, you remember those days?
Yeah.
Reggie.
Yeah, back in the Reggie days.
And we took a whole bunch of seeds, and I had this flower pot. It was like this big around, and I threw them in the flower pot, and we would just water it. And didn't expect anything to happen, but I had a whole bunch of little plants start popping up. So at my granny's house, she had like a little carport that was flat. And the only place that my mom or my grandma couldn't see, because I didn't, my mom wouldn't have cared, but she probably would have made me get rid of it.
Yeah, yeah. She would have
Because
still been on that ass.
yeah, so I would take it and go put it up on the roof on up there on that little flat part. So what I understand is somebody was I had some people that were running from juvenile probation at the time, and I let them come and hide out in my back room, and one was I think he was like 17 running from the police, or I don't, it don't matter, but I let them stay back there for a little bit, and then eventually I had to be like, "Hey, y'all gotta go," and what I believe happened is somebody got in their feelings and got upset, and they made a decision to link up with somebody on the law enforcement side to try to get themselves out of some trouble and tell on somebody growing some marijuana plants.
Oh shit.
So uh, I hadn't watered the plant that day, and so the police show up at my granny's house, and it's just, my mom's working at night. It's just me and my granny, and I've got a joint roller in my dresser in my bedroom, and I got a bunch of broken cigarettes in there, but I got a joint roller, and I've freshly used it like not too long ago. And so when the police come in, they come and they search the house. They ask my grandma, and she's Christian, never drank a beer.
Yeah, she don't.
Square as can be.
Yeah, she don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, she has no idea.
Yeah.
And so they come and search the house. They find that joint roller in my room, and then they go out in the backyard, and right underneath the faucet in the backyard, that plant was there, freshly watered. And
Did they know where to go?
yeah, they went
Okay,
straight out
so
to the
yeah, it makes
backyard.
sense what you said earlier.
Yeah. So they didn't arrest me. I was only 13 at the time. I think I was 13. I might have been 12. Um, yeah, I was either 12 or 13, but they came and took it. They said they would call us back, and then they took me down to my mom had to take me to the probation office, and I had Kathleen Cooks was my first probation officer. It put me on 6 months probation. I stopped smoking, stopped doing everything for like 2.5, 3 months. But my homeboys, everybody's coming over to my crib smoking with my mom.
It's hard. The temptation was there.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
hard not to smoke.
Yeah, like we're over there freestyling, and me, I always like after I first started freestyling with Steven, he got on my ass, and I decided, I was like, man, I got to retaliate. But after that one point when I was doing it all the time, like I felt like smoking made me better, and everybody's over here, and yeah, you already know.
Yeah, I'm already knowing.
But so man, it was hard. My mom was over there smoking with my friends, and then not long before this, somebody had showed me how to huff gas, which was a bad thing, because like my mom was also prescribed to a whole bunch of pills. Like,
Yeah, like if you're like I want to say if you're like 35 and above, then they should relate to what you're saying
yeah,
for huffing gas, because
yeah,
they've done it.
Yeah.
That was like the thing to do back in that
Yep.
time, bro. If you're for like 35 and up,
Yep.
that's crazy, bro. And so when was your first trip to Cover?
Shit. My
Because they didn't take you,
first
they didn't
UA?
take you for
No,
the
they didn't
plants,
take me for
right?
the plants. No.
But you ended up on probation for the fact
Yeah.
that somebody sent
Yeah.
them to your house.
I wanna say it was my first UA. No, because I did 3 months. I did 3 months good, and then I'm trying to remember. I think just one day I was like, you know what? No, I'm done. I'm done huffing this over here while y'all are over there with that.
Yeah, yeah.
And my mom was on a bunch of prescription pills and stuff. So like she would give me pills to sell and to trade and to do all sorts of things with. Uh, so I mean, I stretched a 6 month probation to 2.5 years. They let me off probation because I was about to be 17.
Damn, so you just kept
Yeah,
violating,
yeah. So,
adding more time,
oh yeah,
violating, adding
yeah.
more time.
I estimate, and I'm gonna ask for my records here at some point for Culver. I estimate that I probably did about 28 violations.
No, dang.
All together
Wow.
between dirty UAs from getting caught with people that were on probation,
Yeah,
for going on the run.
that was the biggest one right there back in the day.
Yeah,
Don't hang around with people on
yeah,
probation.
and everybody I know is on
And
probation.
didn't not one person listen. Not one
Nah,
person, bro.
nah.
Not
No,
one
and
person.
there were times that we got in trouble, like my boys across the street, like we got in trouble. We weren't even hanging out, but somebody told them we were hanging out.
Yeah.
So and we got jammed up.
Damn it, bro. So you're on probation. You're in and out of probation.
Yeah.
When does this shit get serious for you, dog? Like when does shit hit the fan? At what age? And what was the reason for that?
Man.
Was there any kind of addiction in between?
Oh
Like
yeah,
besides
yeah.
like
So like, I mean, we went I, from the point that my mom was handing us pills. Like, I I had I had no fear of experimentation with anything. Like if you had it and you told me it was gonna fuck me up, I was using it. And that rolled all the way into like I was doing pills. I walked in on my mom. So my first experience with cocaine, me and Steven, we walked in on my mom and she had a little mirror. I remember it had like little rose handles on it and little figures. And one of the ladies she had taken care of gave it to her and she had some lines broke out on it. And she was like, Bruce, have you tried cocaine? And I'm like, yeah, I hadn't.
yeah.
But I'm like, my mom knows I do this and hang out with these people and do that. So I'm like, yeah, I tried it. And Steven, of course, he's like, oh yeah. And so we go and we do a line and and then, man, when it really really hit the fan, I'm trying. There's 2 points. There's two
There's
different shit
two
hitting the
different
fan.
times.
Yeah, there's two different moments of shit hitting the fan.
Well,
Like
tell me about the first time.
so the first one, trying to remember which one happened first. So the first one was I'm gonna say was with crack, man. Uh, and and I'm not gonna throw my sister under the bus, but man, my sister was living a rough life for
Yeah.
a little bit, and my mom made some moves to try to get her back to the house. And in that, my mom went like we went to the south side to find my sister, and my mom bought some dope. To lure my sister back to the home, so we
To bring her back home.
yeah,
Yes.
and I was with my homeboy Cleveland, R.I.P. Cleveland, uh, man, and my mom was like, he was like, oh yeah, we can just put that stuff on foil and do it just like it's foilies, and he's like, it's not smoking crack if you do it like it's a foilie, and I'm like, all right, we've done some foilies before, so I'm game, and so then that kind of just became like a habit. Like my mom would get her social security check, or she would sell a bunch of like she would have some prescriptions she would sell to a specific like the whole thing to a specific person every time she'd get it. And so like when she would get these little lumps of money, she'd be like, oh well, let's go buy a 50 piece, let's go buy 100 piece, let's go. And so I was doing this, crushing it on this foil, telling myself, oh, I'm not a crackhead. I'm not a crackhead. My sister,
Yeah, yeah. Because
like,
you
like,
were basically like freebasing, right?
yeah, like I'm, and
Like a foilie, yeah.
exactly. So I mean, for a little bit, like we were jumping the hotels, like the West Wind, the Bradford Inn, the Desert Inn, the Midland Inn, the West Inn that had the little pool. Man, we were bouncing around, and I would say off and on from 14 to to 18. I mean, yeah, 14 to 18. Like,
So that was a pretty good stretch.
yeah,
That's 4 years,
yeah.
bro, of
Well, and
just
it was off and on. Like I would go on binges. So
mm,
like there'd be a period of time where my mom couldn't afford it, or like when I found ecstasy, like that completely
took over.
that completely took over, and like really, ecstasy is kind of what helped me like probably stay a lot more above the shit that I got into with crack. But like so there like in one of those periods, like my mom had gotten a boyfriend. So it's the first boyfriend my mom had had my entire life. And this is we got to get this on the podcast. So uh so this dude my sister's living over here at these houses, at these little apartments right there on Louisiana Street. It's across the street from St. Luke's Church, like little condos. And she's staying with this dude over here. And this dude over here is, I guess he came over and got high with them. And then he started trying to like make my sister strip, like you got more dope or whatever. So the dude, the scary dude that my sister was with, she was staying with, calls my mom and was like, "Hey, I need help. Come save your daughter." So my mom's old school. Like she was an old school dope dealer. She was a big meth dealer, and did a whole bunch of shit just like before I was born. And really, like she always told me I saved her life because like she was working for a moving company, she was hustling, she was moving, and then she found out she was 4 months pregnant with me,
So
and
she stopped.
she went off the
She
grid,
completely
stopped, cut
stopped.
off from everybody, and moved in with my grandma. So I mean, like for the first 13 years of my life, she removed herself from everything.
And you didn't know that side of her
Yeah, I didn't
whatsoever,
know. I
right?
had no idea. I had no idea. But so now, like I had started learning at this
Hmm.
point. So I think I might be like 14 right now. And we go, I've been to Culver in and out. I've violated. Uh so we go over to this house, and I go in here over to where my sister's staying, and she goes over to that house and starts cussing him out, and I hear her cussing and yelling and with her finger in his face. And then like a couple weeks later we end up going back over there, and I'm over here, and she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go over here real quick," and she goes over there and she's talking. And then another day, like I get to that, like we've made plans, she's supposed to take me to go to the mall to go see some friends or do something, I can't remember what it was. But I get home and she's not at my granny's house to take me anywhere. And I'm like, "Man, where's my mom?" And my granny's like, "I think she went over to where your sister's at." And I didn't have a way to get a hold of anybody. It was nobody had cell phones back in
Yeah,
the
back
day.
in the day.
And so I walked all the way over there, and I walk over here into this apartment, and she's not in that apartment. So that door was cracked. I open the door, I walk in, and they're laying in the bed together, her and this dude. And I'm like, "This is my mom. She ain't ever had no boyfriend. She ain't ever had nothing."
So you were like, what the fuck?
So I'm like, "Hey, mom, come on, you're supposed to take me. I'm late. Like I had to walk over all the way over here. Like you got to take me." And she's like, "Well, just go in there real quick." And I'm like, "No, mom." She's like, I was like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Oh, I was just taking a nap. I just resting my eyes." And I'm like, "Well, come on." And I wasn't trying to leave the room. And then like it started clicking why they didn't want to throw the covers off. And I'm like, "No." I was like, "He better not be naked under there." And she's like, "Bruce, just go in the other room." And I'm like, "Nah, he better not be naked under there." Okay, so he had gotten out the bed, and I ran with the knife trying to get to him. So they pulled me out of there, and I'm freaking out. Like my mom never been with anybody ever in my life, never given anybody else attention. And this first instance, I'm like, damn, she was supposed to do something for me, and just ditched me and came over here, and yeah. So it was rough, man. That that dude probably was a big part of the rest of the downfall.
For real? Was he around
Yeah,
for a good while after that?
yeah, yeah. It drug with me, and that's really how I got like those instances of being away from the crack and shit, because she had him. I would go and be with my friends. Like I can't tell you how many different friends I lived with for like 4 months here, 5 months there, just bouncing around. Like once I really dropped out of school, like because I mean I dropped out of school twice. Uh, in the eighth grade, I probably went to like 2 months of school. I got kicked out of Eagle Charter a couple times. Ended up taking. I had a cellophane of some weed in my pop in my shoe in my sock, and there was somebody that was going to the school that had kept asking me, and I was paranoid. I wanted to get it off me. So I was like, here, you take this. Well, they were sitting there playing with it in their little cubicle, and they just happened to be related to somebody that works there, and that person was walking by and saw what they were doing, and they gave me up quick.
Oh,
So
shit.
I got kicked out of there. I think that was the first time I got kicked out of Eagle Shorter, and then I did homeschool, and my mom had ordered the booklets, and like I was just supposed to do them, and we were supposed to mail them in, and I just didn't do them. So I got kicked out of homeschool, and then come towards the end of the year, like she starts getting letters like, "Hey, he needs to be enrolled in school." So we got me back into Eagle Charter somehow. I don't remember how. I think it's because that person was related. I can't tell you
I
exactly.
remember Eagle Charter. Eagle
Yeah.
Charter was kind of,
It
it was
was
kind of crunk.
crazy. It was right next to Sonic.
Yeah, it was crunk. I
But
went to the Eagle Charter that was on. It had just moved from there from Sonic.
yeah,
I went to the other one that was
on
by
Illinois.
on Illinois.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did about 2 months there.
Yeah.
So I understand you did a little prison term,
Three,
3 prison
Yeah.
terms.
3.
Talk to me about your first one.
So my first one, which, man, if I would have known then,
Was
what I
this
know now,
your first term, was it state or was it federal?
it was state.
It was state.
It was state.
Talk to me a little bit about that if you can.
So the first time that I went down, so when I got locked up, so I put myself, I was hustling. I was dealing with the XOs.
And this all and just for the people listening, it does intertwine with what you just told us.
Yeah.
Yeah, because maybe you'll touch on that. You know how the new boyfriend coming in kind of led to more of a downfall.
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming that that's where you're.
Well, so when it comes back to the boyfriend, like that was just a traumatic few years, and
He didn't have nothing to do with you.
no,
nothing like that.
no,
Oh,
no.
okay.
He didn't have nothing to do. My mom's boyfriend, he didn't have nothing to do with me getting locked up. Um, that so I got locked up the first time like a year after my mom passed away. And my mom had cancer. She had gotten breast cancer and it went into remission, and then she got liver cancer on top of hepatitis C and cirrhosis of the liver. So her liver was just shot, and when we got close to the end, like she got to the point where like she was falling asleep with cigarettes and like burning the bed, and
Mhm.
when I was in the county jail when she passed away. It wasn't for anything big, so I had a whole bunch of tickets that I hadn't dealt with, and I'd gone on a binge. Well, actually, you know what? No, this is how bad my addiction got. So my mom was sick. She wasn't on hospice yet, but at this point, like they were delivering her medicine to her from like the pharmacy. Like
Mhm.
we didn't go pick it up anymore. And man, we had just gotten like towards the end of a little bender with my mom, and it was like cash flow's gone, money's down, and me and my friend, we had left, and we came back and we pulled up and we saw the bag of pills on my mom's door, and or on the front door of my granny's, and my friend asked me, he's like, man, he's like, is that what I think that is? And I said, yeah. I was like, that is. And he's like, what do you think is in there? And I said, I can't even imagine. And I don't know. I don't know if I needed much convincing, and I can't remember if he tried to convince me. But I went and took the bag of pills, and we disappeared off to his apartment. He hadn't. I can't remember where he had an apartment at, but we disappeared off over there and started selling pills and trading pills and buying hash and buying dro and smoking and popping pills, and like I'm talking Valium, Xanax, Somas. Uh, she was getting fentanyl patches like before fentanyl was a street thing. Like these were medical patches. Like there was everything you could think of that was narcotic was in this bag, and we probably about 4 days stayed up just getting high, trading shit, and then on the fourth day, another good friend came over and he had some pills and he had a little money and some dope, and we got high, and then everybody fell asleep. Like we ran out of dope and everybody fell asleep, and I wasn't done, and I was out of money. I didn't have anything, and homeboy had a couple methadone pills that he left in the pill bottle on the deal, and I was like, man, I know the person. He gets rid of them too. So I took those few pills. It was just like 3 or 4, enough to get maybe $100. So I went to go try to get rid of them, and dude was like, "Oh no, I bought all those from him already." And so then I try to go run through the renting, go run to somebody that might have something.
Those for the people who don't know, the
The
Rennies
Renaissance were
were pretty
popping.
crunk back
Yeah,
in the day,
it
bro.
was like
What
the
year?
the cuts.
What year are you talking about right now? Because the Renaissance, they just recently now just
The
became pretty
renamed.
cool. You know what I mean? But a while back, it wasn't too cool to be going through there
Man,
at night.
I was 17 at this time, so it was 2004.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
early 2000s.
yeah, it was
It was
2004.
pretty it was pretty crunk for sure.
But
Pretty
I got pulled
pretty
over.
wild.
So I had taken homeboy's truck too. So I got he had like a Ford Lightning truck, and I pulled up into the parking lot in this little S10, like Lightning, one of those souped up ones, drove by and started revving. And I'm in this big ass truck, so I go to try to rev. Well, I had accidentally thrown it in reverse instead of neutral, so it killed the truck. And like I've been up for days. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying to like turn the ignition. I'm not thinking about switching gears. And like now looking back, I'm like, God, I was such an idiot. But I'm trying to turn it. Well, all of a sudden, a cop car pulls in and they're like, oh, hey, do you need any help? And then at that moment, like that's when it registers. Like, I'm like, oh, no, sir. And I go to close the hood and I go to get back in. He's like, whoa, 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 whoa. And then so then they start asking me questions, and I didn't have a license. I didn't get my license till I was 26. So I got out of prison. Uh, but I had a dope pipe on me. I had a glass pipe on me, nothing in it. I went pulling stuff out of my pockets and kind of
Boom.
chunked it on the ground, and it broke, and like the Brillo and everything popped off, and they ended up they charged me for that for possession of paraphernalia. And arrested me, and so I'm sitting there in county, and I'm in there with a good homeboy that I kicked it with, freestyled with, bought dope from, all these things. I'm in there with him, and they call me up to the front, and they're like, "Hey, your mom's in the hospital, and she really can't talk." And I think I had to stay in there for like 14 days to pay off all my fines. And we got into like this is like into week 2. I want to say like the very beginning of week 2 of being in there. They call me to the front and tell me my mom's sick, and like I'd been begging her like the first day. I was like, "Mom, get me out! Like find a way to get me out." And so I get that call and I go down there, and they say, "Well, your aunt's gonna be in there later, and she's gonna call you. So she's gonna call from there so you can talk to your mom one last time." And so they bring me down to the office one more time, and I talked to her, and like she couldn't respond. She was like full on coma. And they said when I was talking to her, like her fingers and toes kind of started moving. And then she talked. My nephew was in TYC at the time, so they made it. They had arranged it where he could call as well. And then after she heard from both of us, she passed. And man, I went back to the cell, and my homeboy he showed me some love. He's like, "Man, I know what you're going through." And it was hard. And they took me back to court the next day and gave me a payment plan.
Let you out the next
Let
day.
me out the next day.
Got to make your mom's funeral.
Yeah, I got to be there for the funeral, man. And I mean, shit, right there, things right there really got crazy. So in all this time, I had this psychiatrist. So at one point, I was in Culver, and my mom was sick, uh, and she had gone to the hospital. So my biggest fear was to not be there for my mom when she needed me. Like all my life, that was my biggest fear. So I was in Culver, and I get like told that my mom's in the hospital in Culver. And so I'm freaking out. I'm like, my mom's gonna die. Like I think we were just dealing with like the breast cancer stuff at this time. So I go out to the rec yard and I find the sharpest rocks from the rec yard that I can find. Like when we go to school, and I go back into the school building, and I'm sitting in those little desks, and I'm just carving on my wrist, carving on my wrist. And then somebody saw me, and they tell them, and then they come and get me, and they took me to Desert Springs. And I was there in Desert Springs for like a week. My mom got out of the hospital, was able to like come see me, and I could hug her. Like I didn't have to see her through class.
Yeah.
And then like my time at Desert Springs was ending, and I was on ISP probation at the time. And
Intensive supervision
yeah,
probation.
yeah.
I remember that.
And my probation officer uh, had come back to get me. And I'm like, oh, hell no, I'm not going back. So I went in the bathroom and got a comb and reopened those wounds. I was like, I'm not going fucking back there. Y'all are taking me back to Culver. And I ended up staying in Desert Springs from that point. But in that experience, like when I got there, this doctor, he came in and he saw me and he's like, do you have a doctor yet? And I said, I don't know. I was in the intake. And well, he's like, you know what? I want to be your doctor. And he introduced himself and he was a really kind man. Well, after that point, like he knew that like I was on Medicaid, my mom was on disability, all of those things. So like when I would have an appointment all the way out there at Desert Springs, he would pay for the taxi to bring me out to my appointment and bring me back home. Or sometimes he would have the taxi bring me to my appointment and then he would drive me back home. And then eventually me and my mom had a knockdown drag out fight over the boyfriend. um, and I had expressed like I needed a break, I needed to get away. So he was like, well, you know what, he's like, I'm gonna make it where every month you get like one weekend. If your mother will get you the hotel room, I will provide the money for you to have 2 days uninterrupted without your mom. And he would give me $200 every month. Like I could call him, be like, hey, it's about that time. And if I didn't have an appointment scheduled, like if I couldn't afford an appointment because I didn't, like insurance wouldn't cover the stuff out there, he would just put it like in his car and I would pull up out there to Desert Springs and get the money. And then he would give me samples of medicines. So there was this sleeping pill. It's a narcotic. It's man, I've seen a full blown crackhead choose a handful of these pills over a handful of crack.
Oh wow.
And like so the pills they're called Sonata. And one of my homeboys had showed me these pills, and then I got prescribed to them, and he was giving me like he would give me samples, and he would give me like they were 2 packs. There were 2 pills in each pack. He'd give me like 30 or 40 of them, and he was really forgetful. So I would I would call him like 20 days later and be like, "Hey, I need more pills." And I mean, I really took advantage of this man's generosity. Like my addiction was in full force. Like he had me prescribed a Xanax, and then there was one point I was sick and I was too sick. Like I couldn't afford to go to the doctor. My mom didn't have any money to like pay the copay. And so I had a session with him that he didn't charge me for. And he was like, look, he was like, I'll call you in some cough medicine. So I got him to call me in some Tussinex, some yellow. And he called me in a full 8 ounce. And after that, I just kept having him refill it. And he didn't question it. He didn't ask any questions.
So the addiction just grew
Yeah,
stronger and stronger and
it just
stronger.
kept feeding. And then so my introduction to meth, man, my mom, she was cleaning houses and she was cleaning this lady's house with this Hispanic lady, and the lady, uh, we started to get some weed from them and get like QPs and shit, and then she was like, hey, do you know what to do with this? And my mom was like, I don't, but she was with her boyfriend at the time, and he was like, oh yeah, we're gonna, and he was a felon. He well, old white dude with like the Texas and prison bars and
Yeah, the
like
old school
the old
tattoos.
school tattoos and like just tatted out like all crappy tattoos compared to what some of what
Yeah,
we
now,
got.
right?
But like yeah, at that point, it, they gave my mom like a chunk of meth, and I don't think I've ever even seen anything like it since. Like it was the size of a coffee mug, just a chunk. And I been used to that like that peak from cocaine and
Yeah,
from
yeah,
crack.
because you had already been experiencing
Yeah, and
uppers before.
yeah, so my mom was like, "Do you want some of this?" And I had just a girlfriend had just broke up with me. Like it was a really hard
And
breakup.
this is your first time
Yeah,
eyes on it.
yeah, first time eyes on it, and I'm like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "What do I do?" And she's like, "I think you just do the same thing you do with the other stuff." And I'm like, "Okay." So she shaved me off some. I went back to my little room. I cut my 20 ounce bottle. I freebased it and went back in there. And I was like, I don't feel nothing, Mom. I'm just not doing it. And she shaved off some more. And I repeated this. And in my estimation, I had to have done a few grams.
Oh wow.
And I didn't do anything else. But I stayed up for, I want to say I stayed up for a good 8 or 9 days. I didn't do anything else from that point on. And like it really really messed me up. Like I still stutter today, and like I used to it even in my rapping and freestyling. Like I used to be fast. Like I'm not kidding you not. Like I used to be like twisted fast, and from that point, like it like slowly deteriorated like my ability to form thought, to speech. So it's been something I feel like I've overcome. It's been a hindrance like for me getting into music because
Can you say that was probably the worst drug that you decided to
I would
do?
I would say I would say that and crack. That and crack, both of them, they both hold the same demons. It's just different styles. Like I work not far from here too. I drive past like the Bradford that they just
Hmm.
knocked down that front, but I've been seeing the people for years just walking across the street, going to that little gas station, and I just think I'm like, man, that used to be me. Like we used to be running in there trying to get Brillo or get a tire gauge or man, and it's just crazy. Like and for me, crack was always when life got to a point where I didn't think it could get any worse. Like when I was like, I don't know what else I can do.
You're
I
when
would
you
say,
felt
fuck it.
when you were at rock bottom,
Yeah,
when nothing could get
yeah.
worse.
And every time things would spiral out of control, then that's what I would go to. So when I got arrested the first time, I'll get into that
Yeah.
now. So when I got arrested the first time, I was occasionally smoking, like very occasionally. But I was dealing with a lot of XOs. I was going through 50, 60, 70, probably a week every couple weeks. Um, and it got to the point where like I was living in an apartment and I was supporting everybody in the apartment. Like I was supporting their cigarettes, their food, their
All the
drink,
habits.
their alcohol, their pills. Like I was supporting everything. And I ended up getting into a situation like we ended up getting into a dispute, and some other people were there that didn't like me, and they saw an opportunity. So I had to go stash all my pills inside a bush, and somebody was peeping me out the window when I stashed my shit. So I left, and when I came back to get all my pills, they were gone. So I'm like, damn, my homeboy's been out of town. Like I'm screwed at this point. And I think like right before that, I had almost so I had tried. We got it. My homeboy had gone out of town. I couldn't re up for a few weeks, and I knew it. I ran out of pills. I ran out of money. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get a zip of some white, and just try to keep the money flowing. And I mean, the first one went good, but we got the second one, and then somebody busted out the can and was like, "Hey, let's make some," and then it went downhill really quick. So I was already like in survival mode at this point. Like I was to the bottom of all my bread. So when I re-upped and then all my pills got jacked from me, I was like, man, there ain't nothing left but to just get high. So I went on a big bender, and then my homeboy hit me and he was like, hey, I'm on my way back into town. I've got whoop de whoop. He's like, you come with the bread. And I'm like, fuck, I ain't got no bread. So my grandma was out of town. She was doing something. So my granny would get prescribed medications and she wouldn't take them. Like if they were narcotics, if she took it one time and it made her feel funny,
She
she had a
wouldn't mess with
drawer.
them
She
again.
threw them in this drawer and like it was her discard drawer. And I hadn't lived there in a while, but I knew she still had this discard drawer. So I broke into her house and stole some pills out of there. And then and there was some Xanax, and I took some Xanax at this point. Xanax is something that it was also something that I used as a crutch for a little bit. But I took some Xanax, and so there for a while, I had a friend that their girlfriend worked at Best Buy, and they had scoped out like the cameras and everything. So I would go in there and occasionally take a few games. Well, at this point, I'm like, man, I need to get some money. I need to at least have like 300 or 400 bucks. So I went and tried to steal some games from Best Buy, and I've got my homeboy's truck. I've got some Xanax, which I don't know how homeboy got his truck or anything. I still never asked those questions. But so I go into Best Buy. Well, they had moved everything, like all the games and everything were in front of the cameras. Like I knew where the cameras were mounted. So I'm like, shit. Okay, so I went. I was like, man, you know what? I was on Xanax, and when you're on Xanax, you just don't care. Uh,
Yeah, you're pretty much blacked out.
yeah,
Yeah, you don't.
yeah. So I go and I grab the games and I walk around the corner. I shove them in my pants and I start walking and I'm trying to act like I'm looking at something and they stop me. And the guy's like, "Hey, we saw you. Just give us the games." And I'm like, "Okay, here." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm going." And they're like, "No, you're not. You're coming to this room." I'm like, "Uh-uh." So I start running and a manager gets in front of me and tries to grab me, and I jump, I push back, and I push him. When this is back when they had like CD displays and
Yeah.
shit. So he flips over the CD display, and I keep running, and they get like probably 10, 15 employees and people surrounding me. Get me back to the room. The officer shows up. He's like, "Sir, you're going to go to jail for a long time." And I'm like, "No, that's a robbery." Or I said, "It's a theft charge." I said, "I'll be out of here tomorrow." He said, "No, sir." He said, "You put your hands on that man. That turned it from theft to robbery." So I went to Midland County Jail, got booked in underneath a robbery charge.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I was in Midland County Jail for the first. I was there for shit 8 months, and they finally sentenced me. So I didn't have any place to go. My granny passed away while I was in there. So at this point, I'm in jail the second time.
No way to bond out, no anything.
No way, nobody to bum me out. My granny passes away, and at this point in life, like me and my aunt had always kind of been at odds because I was a wild child,
Hmm.
but my granny's gone, and she realizes she's the only one, and she steps up. Like she visited me, put a little bread on my commissary, all of that stuff. So they sentenced me to go to that. It was LCCF in Lubbock. I had to go to a rehab and be on probation. So they sent me to this rehab, and when they let me out of Midland County Jail, I go to that Texaco. It was back when you could still get on the Greyhound right there on Front Street.
Yeah.
Uh,
That was back in the day. That was back in the day.
yeah. So they let me out of jail. They dropped me off at the Greyhound. I go to the store. I buy a pack of cigarettes and a can of dip. I'm like, shit. All I was thinking was like, dang, I gotta have nicotine. I was still had that.
Yeah, and then you've been
mentality.
locked up 8 months,
Yeah.
freshly out.
Yeah, I just want to get out. I want to eat something. So I get to the bus station in Lubbock. I go to the rehab. They take I was told you could smoke and stuff there, which is why I loaded up. And then I get there and they're like, "Oh yeah, we changed the rules like 6 months ago. It's a
God.
non-smoking facility," which I didn't listen. I should have listened. I was there, so I was there for 30 days from the first day to the last day. I was there for 30 days. Excuse me. I was supposed to be there for 6 months, but so my grandma sent me a package, or my not my grandma had passed away. My aunt had sent me a package, and I went to go get the package. And when they bring you your package, like they get out your property bin, and just to make sure if anything needs to go in your property that
Yeah.
you can't have. So they got out my property bin, and I'm standing there with my property bin, and there's my can of dip, and it's open, and they turn around. So I'm like, phew. I grabbed the can of dip, and so in intake you couldn't wear your free world clothes. You had to wear like almost jail clothes with elastic waists.
Yeah,
And so I slide the can of dip in the elastic waist of my clothes, and I do everything I need to, and I'm walking back, and I'm excited. I'm like, damn, I'm about to make some money. I'm
yeah,
about to
but
get some
I
dip.
just hit a lick.
And so I'm walking back there, and there's a counselor and somebody walking by, and I feel it start to wiggle like out of my pants, and like all of a sudden I feel it pop out and it hits the floor. And they look down, and I grab it, and I just try to act as nonchalant as I can. Well, he saw, and he went and told, and they come, and they like I had passed it on to like 3 different people, and they came and searched, and they found it, and I claimed it. And they kicked me out, and I went right back to Midland County Jail. And so it was back when Midland County Jail, like I had been to for that little theft charge. So I'd had a little theft charge before this. Um, Dang, you know what? That was the first time I was in jail. I had a little theft charge. I stole a tip jar at the mall because I was homeless on tax-free weekend.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so that was my little first. That was like 6 months before this. That was my first little experience in jail. Um, but so let's see,
And
where was
you were in old Midland County, right? The
Yeah,
very old one,
like-
not this one they have now, right? The
Yeah,
old one
Yeah, well,
before this one.
and that was back when they had it separated like A and B block. The individual cells was for aggravated, and robbery charge. They're treating it aggravated. So like when it was the second time I was in there. I was over there in the A and B
Yeah.
with all the thugs. Everybody who
Mhm.
was in there which I mean, there was a lot of people I saw in there from the streets that I'd kicked it with. I was in there making music and freestyling. I mean, that's when I went. That's when I got locked up, and I was like, man, I'm gonna spend this time investing in my craft and just trying to do music, and man, I'm still mad that I got away from it.
So you pick up charges. You have a robbery charge now. Uh, you're looking at TDC time, right?
Well,
What were they? What were you looking at?
It was TDC or probation. but they wouldn't give me probation because I didn't have a support system. I didn't
Like
have a
no,
place.
no, yeah, like
Nobody would give me
no
an
address
address.
and yeah.
I had a friend that was gonna let me like stay there, but he had no like familial connection, and they were like, no, that we're not. I think he might have been on probation or something before previously, so they were like, yeah, no, that's not an option. So that's why they sent me to the rehab. And so when I got kicked out of the rehab, I went back to Midland County, and from that point they sent me to Safe P. But the struggle with me going to Safe P was I was on medication. So when you go to say when they send you to Safe P, if you're not on medication or anything, you go to 6 months. You go to like the slam bam 6 month, you're out. I had to go to like the 11th month program because I was on medication. Well, it was a 9 month program, but it was down there in Jester Safe P. It was back when Hurricane Ike hit. I think was it Hurricane Ike? I can't remember which hurricane it was, but there was a hurricane down there. And then I got out. I got out and I came to the Clover House in Odessa, the halfway house, and I was out for. I got out to the halfway house. I really didn't have nobody. I had some friends that will always be like family. That let me come stay over there with them, and then their dad found out, and I ended up couch hopping. I ended up getting somebody pregnant in the midst of this. And it wasn't a few months out until I fell back into selling X pills and hustling and um, I I fell back into another situation where I was living at somebody's apartment and hustling and providing and at this point in time I was working at Albertsons as a night stalker. So I got like this was like my one of my first like legit jobs that wasn't that I kept. Like I worked at Albertsons probably for like 6 or 7 months. But the manager that we had at the time, like he would be like, "Hey, if you're at work and you're hungry, just eat." He's like, "We don't care." And so we would eat and do whatever we wanted to. We'd take whatever we wanted to. And after a little bit, like loss prevention started to like, he was like, "Hey, we're bringing loss prevention in because we're having
Like
all this money come up missing
you're
and all
coming
this
up
stuff come up
short.
missing."
Hmm.
And so he's like, "So if y'all take anything like get anything you need now." And so I went and attacked the cigarettes. Like that's all. That was the expensive shit. I just went and grabbed a few packs of cigarettes. Like it helped me not have to because I was supporting everybody's
Yeah.
cigarettes. And so I was off, and one of the guys that worked there, he called me. He's like, "Hey, just don't come back." And I went back to get my check. They just fired me. They didn't file any charges or anything, thankfully. But I mean, at that point I was already hustling. Like people,
Yeah.
I would be in the bathroom, uh, getting high, doing whatever. I'd have somebody come drop something off to me. I'd go out to the parking lot and I mean, all night long. I mean, these are my hours when you're messing with X pills. That everybody's up all night rolling and all that. And trying to remember what happened from there. I had a few just situations happen with roommates. I was staying with a good friend of mine, and he gave me one rule not to do something on his bed with anybody, and he walked in on me breaking that rule, and he
Kicked you out.
yeah, he kicked
Yeah.
me out, and things kind of just spiraled from there.
Man.
I was bouncing around from place to place, and somebody that's like they're like family to me. He's like a cousin. He let me stay with him for a little bit, and I was smoking on the side, like hiding it from everybody, like smoking. Like at this point, life shitty, so I'm smoking crack again. But I'm like, and I've got all my homeboys that I sold pills to. They sell dope. I never bought dope from. Like, and then I'm like, hey, I'm gonna hustle. So they're giving me dubs. Like I'm getting dealer hookups. So I'm just getting a whole lot higher because I got homeboys.
Yeah, and you're getting it for
taking
the
care.
cheap
Yeah,
and for
I'm
the
getting it
low
for
and
the
everything.
cheap. So and then I got that's when I got set up on those two controlled buys.
So that's what led to your
Yeah, yeah.
first prison
Yeah,
sentence.
my first full on like prison sentence. I was on the run for probation. Uh, and
And how old were you when you first got to prison the first time?
the first time I got to prison, let's see, I went to Safe P 2009. Yeah, 2009.
Because for the people who don't know, what's the difference between Safe P and TDC?
Safe P is a TDCJ ran rehab facility, but it's not like, I think eventually they started sending people that were on parole there, but at the beginning it was just like probation
It's
people.
more like programming,
Yeah,
right? You're
yeah, it
just
was more
programming.
probation. Like it was an option before going full on to prison. Like and there were some prisons that just had like half of the ID unit was safe P, and then there were others that were like full, like the whole unit was safe P.
Like an
Like
actual,
I was at Chester 1 unit, so it was the special needs unit. It's where all the people that were on medication that needed doctors, like psych evaluations, all that type of stuff. So we had like kitchen jobs and stuff like that there. So I mean, it was we wore the same prison whites that they do in TDCJ, and they also had it like on some state jail sites as well.
wow. So, and you mentioned earlier, you did a Fed time
Yeah,
also.
yeah,
So
yeah.
what was the
So
big
that's
difference? What's
man,
the big difference between the federal side and the state side?
it's so the first time that I went to TDC, I went from TDC to the feds, and it was almost like getting out. Like it was almost like getting like the amount of freedom. Well, you know what? Was it backwards? No, the amount of freedom compared to like TDCJ was crazy. So I'm trying to remember if I went from the state to the feds. So when I caught when I got set up on those two controlled buys, I was already in violation. So they arrested me on my violation, and then they held me on my violation until they could file the charges on me for the federal case. So in those two controlled cells, I think it was like 23 grams of MDMA in total between both cells. Um, but like, so they told me like, oh, you've got a Fed case pending, blah blah blah. So I'm in the county jail and I've got a regular blue wristband on, and there's dudes in there with the green Fed wristbands, like they're going to the feds, and they're like, oh no, homeboy, if they had Fed, you'd have this green wristband on. And he's like, no, they ain't got shit, bro. And I'm like,
You'll hear a little bit of everything in there.
yeah,
You
yeah,
sure will hear
yeah.
a
And
little bit of everything.
I was in there with some homeboys. So I was like, man, okay, then they ain't got nothing on me. Well, then they call me like, I just busted a fat ass commissary, and they're like, hey, pack up your stuff, you're going home. And
That's how it happens.
I'm like,
That
okay, bet. And I handed
started handing
everything
out
out.
shit.
I handed everything out, and they get me up there to the booking, and then they put me in handcuffs. And like, what's up? And then somebody from my block was going to medical or something, and they're like, what's up? And I'm like, I guess I'm going somewhere. It took me to the federal holdover,
In
and
Odessa.
yeah, I was so, and that was so they had ODC at the time, so they took me to ODC, which I was in a dorm with my homeboy, a dude that I bought some dope like shit from in the streets and just been interacting with. So I had some people that I fucked with that I knew. It was kind of really it being going from the county jail and having spent so much time in Midland County, it was really just like another county jail, with people looking at like a whole lot more months than years, and so and then at that point they shut down ODC and they moved all of us over to ECCC
That you
above the
see
courthouse.
that's where I was at
Yeah,
in ECCA.
yeah,
I was the last batch before they moved all of us to Haskell, Texas.
yeah,
They shut it down, bro, because we were like in a chicken coop.
yeah,
That's what it
yeah,
was. It was like a chicken
yeah.
coop, bro. I was in Tumeri.
Okay,
We're next to
so I think you had to walk. So I was in the one. I was in there with there were a bunch of Pisces in there, which I told myself I was gonna learn how to speak Spanish, and I never did.
hey,
Man.
that place right there, bro, was like the Vegas of lockups. The TV never turned off. The
Ever.
lights were always on.
Microwave was always
Anything you could
burning
think of, narcotic wise, was in there.
Yeah.
Like anything you could think of
Yeah.
was in there. It was crazy, bro.
Yeah.
I had a
No, we
crazy,
partied in
crazy
there.
experience
We
at
partied in there.
ECC. I was there for 1 month. They shut it down. They moved
Yeah.
all of us to Haskell. And I was there for a little bit. And
I
then
was there for like 6 months.
in ECC,
Yeah,
like we would shower, bro, and the water
would come up.
would come up, and
Yep.
then you would be ankle high. It was bad. It
Yeah.
was bad. It was this bad that the COs would walk in, cloud of smoke.
Yeah,
They would go. You would stand by your bed, right, when they're doing count, and you had your little lockers
Mhm.
by the floor. They would open it,
Yeah.
and they're just burping them up.
Those blue
Mhm.
lockers.
Yeah, they're taking care of it.
Yep.
And you know, there's hooch and everything. They just look in there, shut it down.
Cigarettes.
Everything was in there. It was crazy.
Yeah, ECC was crazy.
It was crazy, bro.
But so I went from ECC. So I got sentenced, and then they sent me back to the county jail. And then I went and did my state time. Yeah, I went and did my
You did
state
state
time.
time
I
first?
went and did my yeah, because they arrested me on my violation. So this is where they got me. They arrested me on my violation of probation, and then the feds just borrowed me because state had me in custody. And then after I got sentenced on the fed side, the feds went and dropped me back off. Which when I eventually violated, I did it the other way around, where I ended up doing my state time, or no, I ended up doing my fed violation, my 9-month violation, and then they released me, and Midland County came and picked me back up. And then I went to Midland County, went to court. Like they even had a failure to appear while I was in federal in the
That
feds.
right there happened to me too.
Yeah.
That exact
Yeah.
same
They
shit
tried to
happened
get
to
me
me
a
too,
failure
bro.
to appear and more charges. And I'm like, damn, I've been in the feds. Like
They didn't
that's
want to run my shit concurrent or nothing.
yeah.
They're like, we don't do that no more.
Yeah. My state time didn't run concurrent with my fed time on my
Yeah,
violation.
yeah, that's crazy. Well, out of all that we just heard, bro, because that's wild.
Yeah.
That is
Oh,
super wild.
it gets so crazy.
That's crazy, right? But at the end of the day,
So
you're a whole new man now.
you want to hear kind of just so 2017 I got out of prison for the last time, third time. So, well, if you count Safe P, I was locked up for. I did 17 months in Midland County altogether before I went to Safe P. So to me, I count it as a bid.
Yeah, it's a bid. It's
Oh,
definitely a bid.
man, but
Doing county time is dead time too, bro. Like, it's very
nothing going
different.
on. Well, and then just the rotation of people.
Yeah, it's just it's
Like I, yeah,
it's
yeah,
dead time, bro. It's
it was
different.
crazy. But man, 2017. So I got the last time that I was out. I got to touch on this. So the last time that I was out, I got out in 2013. I got locked back up in 2014. I got out, man, and I did good for a little bit. Like I separated myself from people, and then then I was like, you know what, I can still kick it with the same people and just not do what they're doing.
Yeah,
and
try
and
to have a
so
different
have it
friend.
just change my perspective on it. But eventually, if you're hanging out with people that are doing something, eventually you're going to do what they're doing. And so I ended up meeting this woman who I ended up marrying. But she was an addict. She was on Fed paper. So I had a homeboy that when I was in the halfway house got me hooked up working at Sonic on Midkiff. And when I got out of the halfway house and stopped working there, I could still go get free food, whatever I wanted. I knew all the girls, all the ladies, all the guys, all the managers. And so there was this girl that was in the halfway house at that time that was working there. And they would tell her about me and they would tell me about her. And then eventually we crossed paths. And then eventually, like, we added each other on. It was MySpace, I think, back then. Or no, it was Facebook. It was Facebook. Added each other on Facebook, and it got to like Christmas time. We ended up kicking it, hooking up, and like she found herself in attention from other people, and I thought I could change that. Like I thought I fell in love. I thought that I could fix everything. I could change everything. I could make her fall in love with me. And at the end of it, she was too broken and damaged to love herself, much less me. But so we were together for like 6 months. She was on Fed paper. I was on Fed paper. I've eventually violated. We were smoking K2. I fell asleep in the parking lot at Walgreens, staying up, taking AZOs and drinking water to take a UA that morning after I'd been on a meth binge all night long or for like a week. And we fall asleep while smoking the K2 in the Walgreens parking lot. I get arrested. I bond out before Fed paper finds out about it, go on the run immediately. And then she's like, well, they're not going to let us be together because we're both on Fed paper. Like we can't be around each other, blah, blah, blah. So we ended up going and getting a marriage license. And that day when we went to get our marriage certificate, they were like, oh, you can pay $40 a day and get married right now. And it's a waiver fee. And I looked at my wallet and I had $40. And that's all I had. And she's like, it's meant to be. So we got married that day. And we both, I got arrested 2 weeks later. I fell asleep in Walmart parking lot. I just met my homeboy, got some stuff. We were fighting, we were at odds. So I was like, man, I'm gonna chill out. I took a Xanax to calm down, been up for some days. And I was like, man, I'm gonna chill out and then I'm gonna go in Walmart and then I'm gonna come out and go home. Well, I didn't make it. I never got out the car. I took that Xanax as soon as it kicked in. I passed out in the car. I wake up with the police pulling me out of the car. Well, the shit that I had on me, I had it in a baggie, and it was I shoved it. She had a steering wheel cover, and I shoved it in the crack in the seam, and the corner was poking out, and the officer saw it, pulled it out, arrested me for it. I woke up like I became cognizant in Midland County
In
jail.
Midland County. Came
And
to.
in the holding cell, and they got me with that 3 gram. It was like 2.8 with the baggie. It was 3 grams. So they got me with over 1 under 4. And I mean, really, that was the one that saved my life. So I got in there, man, and like I said, I went and did my federal violation first. And when I went to go do my federal violation, I went to Colorado, which is actually where I got this. So me and my wife just went and visited.
That's where
Pikes
you,
Peak.
is that where you did your
That's where I did my violation at.
oh, in
Yeah.
Colorado?
Yeah,
Where'd you go to
so-
Florence?
Yeah, the FCI, the medium.
You were, yeah.
So and me and my wife, we just went and visited Denver this year.
Denver's,
so I could go
Denver's
on top,
beautiful, bro.
So I could go stand on the mountain that I
Mhm.
looked at and took pictures in front of forever. So I got this there when I was there. It was to me, it was a big deal being able to stand on the mountain that I stood there and looked at for 9 months on my violation.
That is crazy.
But yeah, so I did.
Did
my
you tell
violation.
yourself, when I get out, I'm gonna stand on that mountain peak?
At first, man, I was getting high in there too.
Yeah, I could
There
understand.
was Suboxone, and that was back when people were spraying the K2 and
On the sheets and all
THC on
that?
the sheets.
Oh, dude, I used to see so many people fall out, bro.
Man, hey,
So many people fall out,
people
bro.
having seizures and all sorts of stuff with that K2.
The CO used to walk in and he used to be like, "Hey, whose homeboy is this? Get him up, pick him up. I ain't gonna have my captain walk through here and it ain't gonna be my ass.
Yep.
Pick him up, take him to his house."
Yep.
Yeah, bro, that K2 was really bad in there. Suboxone.
Suboxone, yeah.
I know about
Putting it in the
Suboxone.
water and snorting it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's so I got in there, and he's a good homeboy of mine now. I'm not gonna say any names, but he knows who he is. He was a tattoo artist, so I actually met him in Oklahoma City when we were getting
Over there,
when we
yeah.
were loading up to go where we were going.
Oklahoma City was pretty wild too, bro.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Their roofs are high in the room.
Yeah,
High ass roofs.
It's that 2 stories, and then the way they feed you.
Yeah, whenever I got there, when we landed in the plane,
Yeah.
there was a fucking tornado.
Oh wow.
There was a tornado happening, bro, that day.
What?
But I guess the way they made that building, it's like tornado proof.
Yeah.
It's gonna take a lot to knock that building down,
Yeah.
bro. And it's two tall ones. Nice to sit there and look out my window, and you could just see all the other ones.
Yep.
It's crazy,
And
bro.
then
It's an experience.
And then you can be on the airport side where you see like the landing and everything. And yeah, no, Oklahoma was crazy. But so we were going to load up, and I was scratching my leg. I got a Texas on my leg, and I was scratching my leg, and he saw it, and he came over and he's like, "Where you from, homeboy?" And I said, "Midland." And he said, "Me too." And I said, "No, not really."
Hometown.
He was like, "Yeah, I'm from Midland." He's like, I've been living a little bit away for a little bit. But he's like, "Who's your people?" He's like, "Who's your people?" And I'm like, I start naming. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I know." And so we immediately
Y'all clicked.
we clicked. And so we get to the yard. We find out we're both going to Florence. So we get to the yard. He's like, "Well, I tattoo." He's like, "So you be my lookout. We'll work things out." And I was like, "Well, I draw and I make cards." And I was like, "I gotta hustle." So we linked up and we
Y'all wrote it out together
yeah,
over there.
we wrote it out together.
That's tight, bro.
He was on a 13-year bid. He was just being transferred from another facility.
Yeah.
But and he had been told on, which it's crazy. So it's crazy how things come full circle. So my wife, I'm not gonna throw that out there. Oh, I'm not gonna throw that out there.
You're good. You're good.
Yeah.
Hey, my bud.
I'll tell you that part later though.
Yeah, you could tell me off camera. My best friend ended up being a land king, bro, from Philadelphia.
Yeah.
From
Yeah.
Philadelphia,
Oh
Pennsylvania.
man, I met so many good
Shout
people.
out King Drama. If you're watching this, bro. He ended up being my best friend in there, bro. And it was crazy because we did a bus ride, right, from Oklahoma City
Yeah.
all the way down to Three Rivers. Because
Yeah.
that's where I went. I went to Three
Yeah.
Rivers.
Dang, they took you all the way to Oklahoma to send you to Three Rivers?
Yes, all the way down there
Crazy.
in the bus, right? So
Ah,
you know you're shackled with somebody,
yeah.
and I look over my right shoulder, and I see this guy, bro, and he looks rough.
Yeah.
Hair's long, bro. It looked like he ain't showered or nothing, right? Missing tooth, all that shit. And we get to Three Rivers, and he ends up being my celly, right? And it's weird in the feds, bro, because in the feds, they're gonna house you, and then the own inmates are gonna move you around, bro. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like on that, I think it was Sunday nights when they
Yeah.
did moves. It was
Yeah.
Sunday nights. So homeboy was like, "Yeah, bro, you're gonna live over here,
Yeah.
223, but it won't be till Sunday."
Yeah.
And I got there on a Friday.
Yo.
I housed with a paisa
Yeah.
the first 2 nights. Bro, the worst 2 nights ever. The dude would not stop snoring, bro. He snored like so
Oh,
fucking loud, bro. It was horrible.
I hated that in the dorms in TDC.
It was bad, bro. But shout out King Drama. You know what I mean? Shout out King Drama, man. He was good people, bro.
But so while I was in there, man, so my ex-wife, so she's overdosed in the last few years and passed away. Um, but she made a way for me to get a little bit of bread from some family of hers until we both got locked up, and they were sending her a pretty large sum, and she was like, "No, send some over here." So she held it down for a little bit. Things went good, and then she got out. She did good for a little bit, and she got into a car accident, and kind of just things spiraled from there. And then I remember she filed my income tax while I was in TDC, and sent me $200, and then that's the last time I heard from her. And so I got out. I think I got out like a year. I'd say 11 months after that. And let's see. But dang, let me get the story right. I went from okay, yeah. Okay, so this is when I went from doing my bid at Florence. So about halfway, I'd say probably about halfway, maybe 2 months to the door, uh, I decided I was like, man, if I can't stop getting high in here, then I'm not gonna stop out there. And if I can't have like the wherewithal to see my homeboy over here snorting Suboxone and smoking K2 strips, like there, I have absolutely zero hope. Like when I hit the streets. So at that point, I started kind of trying to go to church, trying to just get involved and separate myself. Like I'd be lookout for homeboy,
Hmm.
but I wasn't getting in the mix. And then from that point, I went back to Midland County. I got sentenced for my state charge, and then I went back to TDC. And so I was at Middleton. I did my whole last bit at Middleton.
Oh damn,
Yeah,
that sucked.
yeah.
So when did things start turning around for you, bro?
So when I got out in 2017, I had decided I had decided, like I told myself, I was like, man, I'm gonna make it work with this woman. Like I'm gonna get out, and she had already gotten out, and she was already in the streets. And I was like, I had gotten like I was in the first faith based dorm that they ever had at Middleton, and it was like a 8 or 9 month program, and I got to be in there. I got to build a lot of faith. Um, I I grew up in church. My granny took me to church growing up until like me and my mom started using, and then I still tried to go to church, but like I kind of blame God. Like my mom died, my grandma died, like all these things had happened. So I'd gotten away from him, and so I signed up for this faith-based dorm because they told me like you're gonna be at Middleton. You stay longer than 3 months, you're gonna be here. It's either you get into something or you go to host squad or whatever. And I was like, man, I don't want to be in host squad. So uh, I got into the faith-based dorm and just learned a lot, man. I met some really good people. I'm still connected with a lot of those people today, like on Facebook. And then it really just helped me like have my mind in a different place when I got out. Like I knew that I had to change people, places, and things. Like I couldn't just change people and things and keep
Yeah.
going the same places. I couldn't just like I had always thought people, places, things was a fluke. And a lot of people think, oh, I have to move to do that. But I didn't have that type of money. I didn't have family anywhere to really be like, hey, let me come stay here so I can get on my feet. Like I had to figure it out. And so my homeboy let me come stay with him. He let me parole out to his house. And after I paroled out there, so I was on federal probation and parole at this point. So I get there, things are going good. My parole officer comes and does a house search. They just walk in, look around like the front room and leave. my federal probation officer, somehow they gave me the same federal probation officer that I had the first time.
Yeah, they're gonna go through everything.
Yeah.
And I'm talking
She
about everything. I'm talking about they're gonna open your fridge,
looked through the
everything.
cabinets, the pantry, everything. So she went into the master bedroom, and I'm staying in my homeboy's room. Like me and him, we're sharing a king size mattress that's laying on the floor. Like it's all I've got. So they uh they go into the master bedroom, and his parents had a big like antique glass and wood gun safe, and the guns are visible. And my probation officer finishes up. She comes. She's like, "Mr. Butler, come outside with me." And I'm like, "Okay." And she's like, "I'm gonna assume that you don't know." She said, "But you have you have some explaining to do, because this residence was approved saying that there were no firearms in the house." And she said, "So what can you tell me?" And I'm like, I had no idea that there were any guns in the house." And I said I knew that they were gun owners, and I was told they were getting them out for me to parole out here. And I assumed parole had done all that. She said, "Well, I'm going to give you 24 hours to find a place to go. And after that, you'll be in violation." So at this point, somehow I found my sister on Facebook, and I told my sister, and she's like, "Yeah, come stay out here." And this is where life really changed for me. So uh, I go and I stay out there with my sister, and we've got this old family friend that was a friend of my mom's that for some reason decided to be my sister's guardian angel many years ago. Bobby Gann, he recently passed away, um, but he had a trailer, and then he had a little trailer that he let my sister stay in with her daughter when she had some domestic issues with her ex-husband. And my sister was like, "Well, I don't have any room in my little trailer, but you can stay in the spare bedroom over at his trailer." And he was fine with it. He let me stay. And she didn't have a license at the time because of probation stuff, and I had a license, so I got to use the car and drop my sister off at work. And I mean, my sister was hustling, working dual shifts at La Bodega, and things were I was motivated. I was working at Sonic. I was looking for another job, trying to find something more, something better. I didn't want to work in fast food. I never really broke out in the oil field because I was always dirty.
Yeah,
I didn't want to try to pass a UA just to keep failing a UAs afterwards. And I didn't thinking about losing fingers and hands and all that stuff. But so it wasn't 3 weeks after I was living with my sister that she calls me, and she's like, so my sister's oldest daughter, um, she had a baby in November, and my sister had pulled her off to the streets uh, about probably about a good 5 or 6 months into her pregnancy, and she had been using and all of those things. And my sister pulled her off the street. She had the baby, and then she went right back to the streets and drug the baby with her. Well, my sister got a call that she was going to jail, and my sister called me, and I have the car, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm at work. I'll call my friend. She'll take you." So they went to go pick up uh, the baby. So the baby is my adopted daughter now. Her name is Ambry.
wow.
And so at that point, my friend and my sister went to go pick up this baby, and they brought her back, and like I fell in love with her. Like she didn't have anybody. She was kind of like me. She didn't have anybody there for her. Um, the person that was supposed to protect her really didn't. There was just I don't know what it was, and I had also had sons, mothers that used my past against me to leverage me not having relationships with my sons. And I know in some circumstances those are situations that I probably could have changed with different decisions. But there was just something like I never I never told myself um, I I never thought that I would have the opportunity to really be a dad, or to have somebody like depend on me or need me, because the women that I had children with had decided like they were gonna make that decision.
Yeah, they
And
were gonna be the mom and the dad.
yeah, and they were gonna have my kids call other men father, and like not leave any room for me to not have to destroy them mentally and emotionally. Like when you tell somebody that somebody's their dad, and then you say, "Oh no, this is your dad." Like, I mean, what does that do?
Yeah.
And then I have to live with that guilt and conscience. Like, okay, so do I pursue this and ruin like everything that they've known? Because I know how important a mother's bond is with a child. So then I have to say your mom's a liar, and I have to be like, your mom's lied to you your whole life. So there was a lot of things that had been put, a lot of self-doubt and insecurity and lack of confidence, and but this little girl, she didn't have anybody or anyone, and she needed somebody to step up for her. And about this time, I was kind of getting the opportunity to see my youngest son, and I had, my life was at my sister's, and me and my sister were taking care of this baby. Like me and my sister were splitting the duties of this baby 50-50. And my sister worked and I worked, and I was doing probation and color codes, and like I'm doing everything that I can to just live right and not relapse and go back to prison. Because I mean, it wouldn't have taken much at that point. I was stressed, um, and then we start having struggles, and she starts, my son's mother wants me to come into my son's life and say that I'm his friend while he tells me about his dad.
Oh wow.
And I went over a few times and I hung out, and she's like, you can't, like, you're his friend, and if he asks, you're his friend. And so I'm sitting there, and he's like, oh my God, oh my dad, let me tell you about my dad. And he's like, oh, do you know my dad? And like like that was, I didn't have a dad. I didn't have that. And I always told myself that I was going to be better than what I didn't have. And then it was, I felt like those opportunities were robbed from me. So, and then she sees kind of what I'm doing for this little girl that's not mine, but doesn't have anybody else. And starts kind of throwing shade a little bit and making me feel bad. And I finally, like, I finally had to, like, I was getting to the point where I was wanting to go use. And so I had to cut off ties. And it was probably because of how toxic it was at the time. Like there was a lot of anger and resentment, and I'm not going to spill any bad blood or any of that stuff, but there was just a lot of animosity there that I didn't think I could overcome in a way that would keep me sober. So it was a really, really tough decision, and it was a selfish decision, but I felt like it was one that I had to make for my sobriety. And then I had this little girl that didn't have anybody. Like my my son's over here got a guy he's calling dad, and like they've got family. Like she's got brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles and tias and tios and everybody. And like this little girl, she has nobody. And so me and my sister bounced back and forth. My current wife, so I got divorced from my ex-wife. So when I got out, she was still in the streets. She was still doing whatever she wanted to do. And I thought that God called me to be her husband, and God called me to learn how not to be a husband and how to be a husband through that marriage. And I I reconnected with my wife. So my wife, we met in seventh grade, and we reconnected um, on one of those social apps, and like she. I sent like one of those mass flirts, and she messaged. It was like Bruce Butler, and I'm like, "Who the hell is this that knows my name?" And I see a Facebook post, and I see the same picture, and I'm like, "Oh!" And so I go and message her back, and then we kind of just start talking, and so this is where I feel like she fell in love with this little girl before she fell in love with me. Uh, the first time I go meet her, I'm taking care of Ambry. I go meet her at the park, and I'm pushing. I get the stroller out and get this little baby. I mean, she was only like 6 months old at the time, and so she's like paying more attention to the baby than she is me. And then we just keep talking, and we hang out, and I go over one day, and I kind of just never leave. And like she, so she, what really started it, like once I started coming around, is like she wanted to help me do better. And I had never had anybody want to show me how to do
That's awesome,
anything
brother.
better.
That's awesome.
Like she saw I was working at this pipe yard. Like I got a job at the pipe yard straight out of rehab. So I had to go to lifetime recovery in San Antonio as part of my federal sentence from before I went on my initial 9 months before I went to the state and then got out. So I got out and was out for like 2 months and then had to go do this rehab bid and then come back. I was there for like 60, 90 days. And so I get back. I was working at the pipe yard, and she's like, "No, you don't need to work at a pipe yard." She's like, "We're going to find you a better job." And so I start applying, like she starts submitting applications to everybody on Indeed.com, and I'm getting some interviews, and I'll go to the interview and I get shut down because of my felonies. And they're like, "Oh, well, I had a few companies be like, oh, if they were 8 years old, we wouldn't see them. So you just come back in a few more years." And I'm like, "I don't need a job in a few years. Like I need a chance now." And the company that I work for now, so I've been with them. It'll be 9 years in July.
Wow, bro, 9 years.
Yeah, I've been with this company
Wow,
9 years in July. And so
that's awesome.
what happened is I had been turned down multiple times. I'd been to interview after interview, and they called and I missed their call and they left a voicemail. And I called and they missed my call and I left a voicemail. And at this point, like when people were calling, I was like, "Look, I'm on color code. I've got to go do classes. I've got to go report to federal probation. I got to go report to parole. Like I've got a whole list of things that I have to be able to get off to do." And nobody wanted to work with me. And so like I left a voicemail and I'm like, "Hey, look, I have a thorn in my side and I'm not getting a job because of it. And I don't want to waste nobody else's time." So he calls me back and he's like, "Tell me about this thorn in your side." And I tell him, and at that point in time, I was in Celebrate Recovery down at Kelview Heights Baptist Church. Uh, and it was required for parole at first to get the signatures, and then I kept going. I just stayed, and I became a leader at Celebrate Recovery, and I mean I really loved and enjoyed my time there. Met some amazing people. It's for anybody with any struggle, not just drugs and alcohol, and it was faith based, which I enjoyed a lot. Um, so at this point in time, dang, I lost where I was at. Hold on, let me get a drink real quick.
No, you're good, man. You're good.
So uh, I start telling him about everything that I'm doing to better myself. And I tell him about Celebrate Recovery. And he's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa." He's like, "Stop." He's like, "My wife and I go to Celebrate Recovery here in the DFW." And I'm like, "Really?" And they're like, "Yeah." And she's like, "No, we don't have any substance stuff." And he said, "I'm assuming by what you're telling me, yours is more substance related." He said, "But," he's like, "we're familiar." And I was like, "Okay." He's like, "Well, you need to talk to my wife next. She's the next person that's going to interview you." So his wife is the owner's daughter of the entire company. And so I talk to her and I tell her everything. And like, she's like, "Oh my God." She's like, "This is meant to be." And well, they had just recently had a deal where they had to lay off a bunch of people because at a customer facility, so we work on site at some customer facilities, and we had a physical store inside a customer location, and they had found some pot. They'd found some pot on the facility, so they drug tested everybody. And because we physically worked there on their property, they had to get drug tested too. So they lost like 7 employees right then at that moment to dirty ways. So when it came time to hire me, they hired somebody else, and then he no called, no showed. So a week later, they're like, "Hey, put in your 2 weeks notice," and I've been with them ever since.
That's awesome, bro. That's awesome. Doing great, living good,
And
living different,
living different.
living
Like,
different.
I separated. So this time I separated myself from everything, everybody. That experience with my friend at his house, I realized like nobody's got me. Like I can't expect any other human being to put my well-being above their own. Like it's not going to happen. Whether you put it on a loyalty landscape or a G code landscape, like at the end of the day, people are going to look out for them. And I had to realize that.
It's a dog eat dog world, bro.
Yeah.
Big time.
And when I realized that, I got love for lots of people. Like I got lots of people I love and I want to see do good, but I can only lead a horse to water, and what better way can I do it than with my actions?
So kind of to like close out the episode, bro.
Yeah,
Is there anything you would have done different?
man, where I'm at today with all of the blessings and like all the experiences, I can't say that there is. I really can't say I wish I would have learned sooner, but I wouldn't have been here to save this little girl's life or for her to save mine.
And before I forget, congratulations on
On
graduating.
graduation.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I know the viewers that are gonna watch this episode, y'all are hearing like, oh my God, he's just this, he's going through that, he's going through this. But at the end of the day,
Man,
he graduated from college.
yep.
Tell me a little bit about that.
So I decided to go back to college because of COVID. So I've got this job that I've learned all this awesome stuff about and I can do, but then I start looking at jobs that do the same thing and they all wanted a degree. Like they wanted my experience with a degree. And I'm like, man, if this shakes up, like if I lose my job, I can't continue to take care of my family without going back to what I know. And so at that moment, I was like, you know what? I'm going to try something different. And I had told my wife, like, I'll never go back to school. Like when we got together, she was in school. And then she graduated with her bachelor's degree like a year and a half after we got together. So, like, I see that she did it. And I'm like, no, that's too much work. And then that happened. And I'm like, you know what? I'm too prideful if I'm not willing to put in that work for my family. And so I did, and I went for business management. I want to learn. I felt I wanted to learn how to operate, run, and manage a business before I tried to add any specialties on it. Now, will I go back for my bachelor's? Probably not, unless it's for music engineering or
Yeah.
something music related.
Hmm.
Just because that's just what I love to. I want to learn. I
Well,
love
that wouldn't
and
be a bad
passionate.
idea for you to do that in the future, man.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah.
know, always
It
keep that in the
it
back of your mind.
it's a thought. It's a thought. But I with just graduating, I've built Mic Drop Network. Uh,
That's what I was just gonna ask you to close the show. What are your future plans, bro? And what do you have in the works right now?
Man, future plans. So I've got Mic Drop Network in beta mode right now. I've got two more apps about to release in beta mode. One is going to be called Stagecoach, and the other one is called Music Flow. So one's going to be like a music booking system. Like we rely on DMs and comments to book shows and find shows and who you know. And there should be an easier way for people to book shows and for venues to find artists. So I'm trying to bridge a lot of gaps that I've found over the last couple of years in the music space without adding any extra fees to it. These are things that people should be able to access before somebody tries to put a paywall or a gate in front of it. So I've got big plans. Music space, music creatives, Mic Drop Network. It's going to be for everybody, from the artist to the person that does the lights and sound, makeup, art, graphics. I want to pull people away from leaning to AI tools for the creative side. Like
Yeah.
use it for workflow. Use AI tools to be more productive, but let the creativity let it come from our human people that are hustling, because there's so many people out here trying to get it. And I just want to see everybody win. I don't want to see anybody lose because everybody's betting on this AI stuff.
Man, that is awesome, bro. That is awesome. And for the viewers, where can they find you at?
Man, it's so www.micdropnetwork.com, Mike dash network, mic-dropnetwork.com. Uh, you can find us at the link. There's a sign up list. That sign up list will send me your request, and I'm inviting and adding people into beta for Mic Drop. The people that are in beta and actively testing, using, and interacting will be the first few people that get to test Music Flow and Stagecoach. So Music Flow is, I described a little bit. Stagecoach is kind of just help you figure out your stage metrics, your set lists, keep you organized, keep everybody on the team on track, and helping music be displayed to the world with the best tools and collaborative effort.
Nice. If you could tell the world one thing, what would it be?
Don't give up. Don't let anybody tell you it's too late. Don't let anybody tell you that your past can hold you back, because I mean we're seeing people everywhere right now get pardons. We're seeing people uh, get inducted into the Opry like Jelly Roll. Man, there's just so much going on in the world. Like I feel like, especially in West Texas, we get limited to, we have to go somewhere bigger to be bigger and better. And I want people in West Texas to know and remember, like, we just got to bring it to us. The time is now for Midland,
Time is
Odessa.
now. Well, Bruce, I want to say thank you, man, for jumping on
Yeah.
my podcast, True Life Confessions.
Appreciate you having me. I know I was a little all over the place here and there.
Hey,
Man, I could sit here and tell stories for
this
days.
was the first episode, and
Thank you
thank you
for
very
thinking of me.
much. And I'm sure you have way more to share, so we will bring you back
Okay.
in the future, man. Thank you, man.